Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of Ferrum Football First and 10. If you're keeping up with us, it is episode 2. I'm your host, Taylor Chitwood. Alongside me here, as always, is first-year head coach Cleive Adams. Coach, again, thanks for joining us this week.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. It's a little rainy outside today, but not a day where we can't improve and again be part of Black Hat Nation. It's been 2 weeks since we spoke, so we have a few talking points to cover over the last 2 weeks. The first one, I'm going to jump right into it if that's okay with you.
Sure.
The intersquad scrimmages. How's the energy been out there with the men being able to get out there and kind of hit each other and really have the full contact for the first time?
Well, it's been great. The guys are fired up about the opportunity. We've basically, since we've returned in August, we've targeted everything that we're doing to get to this point, the Phase 3 opportunity to compete. And we calendared 2 official inter-squad scrimmages. We just completed the first one last week. That was a little bit more of a controlled setting, a little bit of practice before the scrimmage actually, and we were able to take a peek in the box with some of our upperclassmen, which was good. Shut those guys down a little early and really focused on our younger guys.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned, you got the upperclassmen out and you got a lot of younger guys. We have depth at a lot of positions. I was able to watch it last Saturday and kind of see the depth that we have, especially at the quarterback position.
Sure.
And on the defensive side as well. I mean, there was guys being plugged in there every play, and they didn't seem out of place either, which is very important and really positive to see from a fan standpoint.
Well, the concept of how we've been practicing has been basically catered to the ability to actually create depth. And it's important to us right now because moving forward, depending on how things play out from a competition standpoint, we're going to need to have some stable depth. We're extremely young in places, but again, like I mentioned before, the ability to go out, do split practice concepts in terms of one group coming out at one time and then another group coming out the next has really given us an opportunity to get some quality reps for everyone on our roster. And I think it showed on Saturday to be functional with top to bottom talent, young guys versus the older guys being able to go out there and really put on a show in terms of what they've been taught fundamentally to date. And I think that's, for our coaching staff, that's what our main focus is basically taking advantage of this opportunity, this window to practice, and really focus on our fundamentals.
And that kind of moves us into our next point there with the continued development of the new guys, the underclassmen. You had already said that it's a difference maker. Is that something that here in Black Hat Nation that we can rely on down the road? And are the underclassmen in a position to be a difference maker when we do get out on the field?
Well, I think everyone in the league, if we're blessed enough to participate first of the year with some form of competition, we're going to have to count on younger guys to participate. We'll be testing several times a week based on the guidelines of the NCAA. And there are going to be opportunities, there are going to be situations where you're going to have to rely on younger talent and dig deep in your depth to be able to continue to play and field a team. So right now for us, we're pleased with our recruiting class, our freshmen. We're pleased with the work they're putting into it right now. And what we're finding out is with repetitions, the cream is rising to the top. So we're very excited about the next 3 days. We'll be wrapping things up with our final inter-squad scrimmage on Saturday coming up this week, I think the 14th. And we'll be able to put a couple logs on for the winter and see what we're holding and come back first of the year and see what we can do.
And another big important part of that is, kind of putting it up for the winter and then coming back and making sure we're supposed to be as the upperclassmen leadership on the field. And speaking back to the scrimmage last Saturday, there's a lot of guys out there and a lot of practice jerseys, so it's kind of hard to keep up with who's who and the younger guys. But, guys like Devon Jones, Tyler English,
Sure.
Tanner Kennedy, those guys stood out. You knew where those guys were. And even if they weren't on the field, when we pulled those guys out and let the underclassmen go, they were out there. They were coaching their guys up as well. It's staying interested into the game, staying locked in. And that's just a great example for the underclassmen to not only pick it up on the field but off the field as well. It's all about preparation, and those guys come to mind and do it very, very well.
Well, you hit the nail on the head when mentioning Devon, Tyler, and Tanner. But what we've done as a program is we created a leadership dynamic here that I believe in, something I've been using as head football coach for the last handful of years. We have a captain's council, if you will, of 16 guys, and all 3 of those guys are part of that captain's council. But what we try to do is we try to team up an older guy with a younger guy. And what that allows us to do is continue to develop our leadership throughout our football team. It allows us to reach out in every crevice of our roster to try to make an influence from a leadership or a mentor leadership standpoint. And then the most important piece of it is that we don't really graduate our leadership. We just refine it, recycle it, and keep it moving. So I think those guys have been instrumental on and off the field, and I'm super excited about the leadership that they're bringing and the leadership that they will provide moving forward.
And that shows as well here in the Hank Norton Center. You know, you see a lot of the guys come to the football wing in the Hank Norton Center. For everybody that's been inside here, you know how the building's set up. But those of you that don't, you know where my office is at, and where Gary Holden's office is, the sports information director and assistant AD. A lot of the guys have to walk right past that office to get to the football wing, where all the coaches' offices are, your little meetings as well. And again, it's an understood expectation when they walk in the building, how to act, how to be, and you can see the upperclassmen, what they've set forward for the younger guys. You know, guys that this is their first year here. You know, obviously we're cutting down with everybody being around and as congregating as little as possible, but it's still, you know, the expectation is there, and I think that speaks to the leadership framework that you guys have. It's not a few guys, it's not 1 or 2 guys, it's everybody. Every guy that has a Ferrum Football shirt on knows how to act, knows where to be, how to be, and they act like they belong, and that's very important to me and really good to see from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, I think you're correct in that. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do with regards to just leadership in general. We work at it tremendously hard every day. We do have a large number of younger newcomers that are on the team, and it requires our older guys to be involved and be engaged every day. And I think they're finding out. I always joke with the guys and I always poke at them. Now you understand what it's like to be a coach. You have a small pocket of guys that you have to worry about. As coaches, we have to worry about the big picture and the entire roster. So I think they have a better understanding and appreciation for leadership and that responsibility of what I always say to the guys: leadership don't take days off. And you have to be in their ear, you have to be in their face, you have to be intentional and genuine in terms of your approach. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that labor as we continue to press through this semester.
And that gives confidence moving forward, you know, when guys move on from the Black Cats program on the field, eligibility-wise. Obviously, once you're part of the Black Cat program, you don't ever leave.
That's right.
You're part of the family forever. But, you know, those guys that hold those leadership roles are able to make a difference in their communities, and it spreads the Ferrum family out. But, you know, moving on to our next point here, any challenges you've seen thus far with the new structure? You know, we've been able to see the guys on the field. Have there any new challenges come up or anything of that nature?
Well, I think the challenges are consistent with what everyone else is experiencing, and that's just basically working hard to stay healthy, working hard to continue to contribute to the health of our community here as an institution. The challenges of just basically managing our time as coaches and the team. We have been challenged to put together a practice structure that involves everyone, and that takes time, and that takes patience, that takes commitment and perseverance, because we're going through Monday through Thursday and we're practicing 8 times. But the guys are only practicing 4. As a coaching staff, we have 8 practices. So I think they realize our commitment to them in terms of making the sacrifice to get out there and push our bodies and our minds and our time to make sure that those guys have an opportunity to get better day in and day out. And then moving forward, if we're able to participate, the plan right now is we will have a competition schedule in the second semester. And when that happens, I'm looking at strategically how we're going to create depth and be prepared for that, that season that's coming up, first of the year, to be able to, no matter what happens around us, have a chance to line up and put a good product on the field week in and week out.
Absolutely. And this Saturday is another big date. It's a big date because it's our last inter-squad scrimmage, but it's another big date for other reasons, as it is the 50th anniversary of the Marshall plane crash. Mm-hmm. And we have a few special plans for the live stream this weekend. Sure. But again, we can't go without saying and mentioning that and making sure that everybody is aware of that as well. And that carries a lot in the athletic department here at Ferrum College.
It does, 100%. And one thing that I notice is that it's everywhere. The Marshall 8, that influence, that tradition, that legacy, it's everywhere in the Norton Center. I've just jotted down a few places. Obviously, the big green room downstairs, one of the best facilities at this level that you're going to find in this region, named in memory of the Marshall 8, that tragedy. The locker room, Coach Tolley, named in memory of Coach Tolley. Every day, if you in and out of the locker room, it's a reminder. My office, that space, purchased and fundraised by the 1968 National Championship team in honor of the Marshall 8. There's so many things around this building that remind you of that tragedy and how important it is and what the link is to Ferrum College. And this weekend is going to be a big day for us. I know we're looking to work in conjunction with your office to make sure that we represent and remember the Marshall 8 and Marshall University as a whole, the families, the loved ones that were touched by this horrific tragedy back in 1970. So it is important to Ferrum College, and I know it's important to Marshall University.
Yes, sir. I know you guys are excited to catch some action here of the inter-squad scrimmage Saturday. We will be streaming it. It'll be on ferrumpanthers.com, and if you scroll down, you'll see a little Watch Live tab, and that'll take you right to the link to be able to watch that live. Again, that is this Saturday, and that's ferrumpanthers.com. Go to Watch Live, and then Live Events, and it'll be right there. Coach, that'll about do it for us here in episode number 2 here of Ferrum Football First and 10. I've been your host, Taylor Chitwood, and again, Coach, thank you for joining me.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yes, sir.